Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and we are back with another Game of Thrones reaction video. And today we are up to Season 3, Episode 9, The Reigns of Castamere. And as always, I am joined by my co-host Tyler. Hey, Tyler.
How's it going?
It's all right. And this week we are joined by a special guest, Sean Chandler from Sean Chandler Talks About. Hi, Sean.
Hello.
Well, thanks for joining us. We found out that you also were watching Game of Thrones right along the same timeline, though you have been much faster in your process.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Admittedly, than we have.
If you're not shooting videos, it's a lot easier to watch through it faster.
Yeah.
Just you get in the binge mode, and so it's like stay up till 4 a.m. and like, oh man, what did I just do?
This is your first time experiencing Season 3, period, right? You have
Yes,
some
yeah.
background kind of with the first 2 seasons, but this is your fresh first time on Season 3.
Yes. And so you reached out to me like a month ago, like, hey, would you like to join? I was like, sure. And you're like, how about episode 9 of Season 3? I was like, why would he pick such a specific? Oh, I bet I know I don't know what's going to happen, but I know enough that there's a reason you picked this one.
I'm concerned because I mean I'm on the journey, for every episode. So I don't think it's like this is a special episode. Now I'm concerned.
Oh, part of it was I felt like, okay, Sean can at least still continue to watch at a slower pace, but still watch. And we would have a little bit of that padded time to like motor through and try to catch up to him. But also, I mean, if you've been paying attention from the first 2 seasons, episode 9 typically is a big episode in the season. Not necessarily the season finale for Game of Thrones. Oftentimes it's that episode 9 where big events happen. Ned's beheading, the Battle of Blackwater, and then we'll see, maybe tonight as well.
That is fascinating though for a show to have all of their crazy big epic moments in the episode before the finale. Like that's such an interesting format change.
Do you want to just share a little bit of your binging experience to get to this point, Sean, since they've been on the journey with us too, but how has your Game of Thrones experience been so far?
It's been interesting because I first tried to watch the show like 5-6 years ago when I had like a couple of kids under the age of 4, and watching it with my wife. You're in that phase of life, and it's like the first episode they throw a kid out a window, and beginning of season 2 they just start like slaughtering babies. My wife was like, no, this is not what I want to watch in this phase of life. And so then I'd had exposure to it, and it was one of those shows that people had always asked me about, always wanted me to watch and talk about. It put me in a weird position because it was like, it wasn't that I wasn't interested, but I hadn't liked it as much as other people, and some of that was the time frame. And so the context of me watching it was when my wife had COVID, and so she was locked in the other room. And so I was like, let's turn this frown upside down. What's some positive I can do with this? And so, while she couldn't watch the show that she didn't really want to watch, I could suddenly binge through, 20 hours of darkness in Westeros.
Yeah.
And that's the context. And so it was one that I think it helps to kind of binge through a lot of it, follow the arcs and everything. Once I got into season 2, you acclimate to the nature of the show, that it's not following typical good, bad structures. You can understand what it is offering instead, and really involved into it. And then as we went into season 3, you reached out to me a month ago, so I was like, I better put on the brakes. And then there was this snowmageddon in Texas. So there was like a 3-week gap between watching seasons 1 and 2, which I did in about a week, and then 3-4 week gap, and then I've watched season 3 this last week.
Well, let's go ahead and do our recap of what we just came off of with episode 8. We had the big royal wedding of Sansa and Tyrion Lannister, and as part of this wedding, Joffrey threatens to rape Sansa.
Classy.
Very classy
tries
move.
to strip her of her clothes at her own wedding, and is just generally terrible to Tyrion. We also see in the process Tywin Lannister not being very amused with Tyrion's drinking habits, and goes right up to him and instructs him to give him a child through Sansa immediately.
It's like everyone's wedding party, just like it always plays out. The usual stuff.
No pressure or anything, right?
This was actually, I appreciated this because I'm not totally disconnected from, obviously I know stuff about Game of Thrones. I had no idea that those two got married.
Yeah.
Like that was like I'm surprised
Yeah.
that wasn't on my radar at all. And so they're just sitting at that table, and it's like, how about you? And I'm like, what? Where is this going? And I wasn't sure if it would play out, and then it did. So I was like, wow, that somehow I've managed to actually not have this show spoiled for me.
And then the other royal family of the moment, the Tyrells, were off doing their own little stuff. Olenna just kind of like making fun of her grandkids and their new family lineage. We see good old Loris trying to make the best of his situation and talk to Cersei, and she literally is like, nobody cares, goodbye, and walks away from him. After earlier in the episode, literally threatening Marjorie's life, for the first time, she goes from like passive aggressive trying to play with Marjorie to just straight up being like, say it again and I will wipe you all off the face of the earth. So Cersei, she's not in a good place right now. She's not friendly with the Tyrells at all.
Charming.
No.
She's got a great likability to her. Just draws people in.
Well, then we saw the Hound teaming up with Arya. So Arya with another unlikely team up. First it was Tywin, now it's the Hound. And she contemplates trying to kill him, but he convinces her that if she don't get it done in one blow, then she's in big trouble. So she thinks better of it. And it turns out the Hound plans to reunite her with her brother and her mother for a reward. So they are off to the twins owned by the Faves for another wedding that is meant to take place soon. Then we saw Stannis release Sir Davos from his prison just so that they could witness Melisandre and her blood magic as she seduces Gendry and puts leeches on him to get that royal king blood. And then,
as one does. Once again,
Totally
we've all been
normal.
there.
Totally normal
It's called a
situation.
Tuesday in the Chandler house.
Yeah. Melisandre just using her very sensual powers of seduction on yet another Baratheon line. And Stannis takes those 3 leeches with his blood and throws them each into the fire, saying the names of Balon Greyjoy, Robb Stark, and Joffrey Baratheon. So we'll see what kind of magic comes of that. Last time he teamed up with her, we got a demon baby that killed Renly. So
spirit
we'll
spirit assassins. So I don't know what comes of leeches and blood and all that hoopla.
Well, then the namesake of the episode, we also caught up with Daenerys, who is currently moving on Yunkai, and she meets with the Second Sons as a 2,000-person militant army group who she hopes to get on her side as she looks to sack Yunkai and free the slaves of that city. But as is the case with a lot of Daenerys's foes, he's rather rude, rather vulgar, and really talks down to her. But at the end, good old Ed Skrein, Dario Naharis, betrays
that was a surprise.
his fellow Second Son men and chops off their head and declares his allegiance to Daenerys. So she now has her Second Sons on her side. And finally, we end the episode off with good old Samwell out there with Gilly and the child when a White Walker approaches looking for that sacrificial baby boy. But Samwell first tries with a regular old sword, which the White Walker easily crushes. And then he gets out that dragon glass he found in the snowy Arctic beyond. And that does the trick and kills the White Walker. So that
it exploded.
Yes. That leads us in to episode 9, The Reigns of Castamere. So let's see what this episode has in store. Of a land you would most like to live in, Sean?
Not in this world, no.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to live in it, it's like, I don't know.
Because everywhere, you're just in danger constantly.
Pretty much.
I'm asking your advice.
Mom is out of jail.
I mean, I guess.
Show them how it feels to lose what they love.
Interesting plan, I guess.
Hey, direwolf.
Have we seen one of those in a while?
They pop up every now and then.
It's been a while.
Wasn't me who spurned, it was my girls.
I guess we finally get to see what these girls look like after so long of just everyone talking about how
Big
bad
reveal.
they
This
look.
is a major reveal right here.
My daughter Derwa, my daughter Waldra.
Amazing names.
My granddaughter
You look at these
Freya,
very young children, and
my
Edmure Tully.
granddaughter, Welfa,
Yeah.
Well, you look at these very young children, and their father being this decrepit old man. So
Yeah, that seems to be a common theme in Game of Thrones.
And
Oh,
here's
doesn't
my
even know their
youngest daughter.
He just had, there's just so many of them. He
Though
doesn't
she
know all
hasn't
of them.
bled yet. Can't see you. Old eyes.
Like me.
Prettier than this lot, that's for sure. Very shapely as well.
Dad of the year.
Oh, you try to hide.
Older Freya has no shame, I guess.
I can always see what's going on beneath a dress. Been at this a long time. I bet when you take that dress off, everything stays right where it is. Doesn't drop an inch. I say he betrayed me for firm tits and a tight fit. And I can respect that.
Oh, okay.
When
That's
was
nice,
your
I guess.
age, I'd have broken 50 oaths to get it
We've got an
done
understanding,
without
yeah.
a second thought.
Thank you, my lord.
Nope.
Well, let's
Grit
get
your
ready.
teeth and
The wine will
Yeah.
flow red.
Yeah, he didn't really seem all that
The music
happy
will
about
play
it.
loud.
Yay, friends. Oh,
Oh.
It's a bad
Jorah's
day.
not taking
When
too
may
kindly to
visit when we
that.
visit Yunkai's bed slaves.
Logenton mireno mas me isa. Iderena kopsa verdagon isa.
Odaban, squadras, trezikido.
You leave tonight.
Oh, there you go.
Very good.
You're like a wizard.
You're a wizard, Samuel.
It's always his dreams and aspirations to be a wizard. Someone's also taking her back to Castle Black, which is the Night's Watch, who don't admit women and is full of rapists and murderers.
Yeah,
Wise.
it's not a solid plan, but you know,
So, you
it's the
know,
only plan.
This
I
will
guess.
end very well. What could go wrong?
I'm sure the Hound will be very friendly to this
Roads have
random
gone right to
gentleman.
hell, haven't they? Many thanks.
Oh, what'd I say? Knocked him out in one punch.
Dead rats don't squeak. You're very kind. Someday it'll get you killed.
Well, that went well.
Oh.
All right, back to being knocked out he is.
Old Nan said they turn your skull into a cup and make you drink your own blood from it.
OSHA is not immune.
She hasn't been for many episodes.
I don't see any.
Don't worry, they're still there.
Still
What's this
there.
like since what?
You check every 5
Episode
minutes when you're
2?
afraid they're
First
gonna
time
move.
she would see either of Rob or
I'm
Catelyn?
not afraid.
Yeah, it was like probably the very, very beginning of
You're almost
the
there.
series.
I knew fear when I saw it in you.
Nope.
You're afraid of fire.
There's
When
one
Beric's sword
weakness.
went up in flames, you looked like a scared little girl. I heard what your brother did to you. Press your face to the fire.
I
like
mean,
you're a
just
nice,
look at his
sweet
face.
angel.
Like, I mean, you can obviously tell what happened.
What?
I'll give you some ideas.
I mean, it's not a shock.
Someday, I'm gonna put a sword through your eye and out the back of your skull.
That stopped them from talking real fast. Hodor was ready to dip.
Make him shut up if they hear us. Hush, Hodor, no more Hodor.
What you gonna do about it though?
Yeah.
I mean,
I say he's a very large.
uh-oh. Oh, this guy.
Oh, took over Hodor.
Oh,
But they're so close to John and all that.
Yeah, just so close. So close.
that means
Just
John
look-
is right there.
Just look out the window. Well, Bran can't look out the window, but everyone else look out the window.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
They'll find
I
us if
agree.
you don't.
Here we go.
Oh,
Become the wolf. Ooh.
oh. Ah.
Nice.
Ooh. Well.
Oh.
Yeah.
You were right the whole time.
Uh-oh.
Take out the bird too. Not the bird.
Oh. John just
He's out of there.
Ooh.
I guess this is them breaking up.
Awkward.
Interesting breakup tactic. Just ride away on your horse.
There may be others.
I doubt
Oh,
it.
well.
Losers prefer to let
Oh.
their slaves do their fighting for them.
That's not good.
Spoke too soon, I guess. Now they're surrounded. Ooh.
Oh.
Oh, yay, he wins. He got a pretty one.
Father,
2 weddings in a
Smith,
row.
warrior.
Yeah, a lot of weddings are going on in the show at the moment.
Crown.
Presumably 2 more on the way.
Right. I've been looking forward to Sweet Joffrey's.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to Loras and Cersei's just because of the dramatic elements of it all.
When I was looking through Summer's eyes, I saw John.
Where?
Okay.
He was with the wildlings. They tried to kill him, but he got away. He'll be
Coming with you. I'm your brother.
Like, I kind of forgot he existed.
That's kind of the MO of the show, it seems like, in these first 3 seasons.
I don't want to leave.
2 of the only Starks that are together are about to split up too.
They all got to split up. It seems to be the rule of the show. You can't have Starks together. Bye-bye, Rickon.
Although Rickon just has no family right now.
No,
At such a little age.
He means the world to me.
God only knows when the next time we'll see Rickon. Well, they're alive.
Their slave soldiers threw down their spears and surrendered.
And Dario Naharis?
Oh. Yay. He's like the most bloody out of all of them.
That's a pretty painting.
Ooh, we've sacked Yunkai. Poor Jorah. Still playing second fiddle.
Friend zone. It fits. Really does. Poor guy.
He is definitely the definition of friend zone.
Don't you drink, Lord Bolton?
Never do, my lady. Dulls the senses.
That's the point. Didn't you marry one of these prey girls?
Aye.
Perhaps I've made a terrible mistake.
Could have been you, Rob.
Killing your king is an act of treason.
A sword needs a sheath. And the wedding needs a
Classy. Classy.
I expect no less from Old Frey.
Such a lovely old man, huh?
It seems to me the father should have some say in his son's naming.
Eddard.
Oh. Oh, it's that song. Well, there's Arya and the Hound. They're making it just in time, I guess.
Oh.
Sneaky,
There she goes.
sneaky.
My king has married, and I owe my new queen a wedding gift.
Oh no. Oh my god! Oh. Oh god, no. Oh god. Jesus Christ.
It's over.
She could not catch a break.
No, everywhere she goes. Oh, not the wolf.
Oh.
Jesus Christ.
It's too late.
All right then.
Well, saved your life at least.
Normally, it's
Yeah.
bad to punch girls in the head, but in this context,
Catelyn's gonna get some revenge for all this crap.
Lord Warley, enough! He is my son. My first son. Let him go, and I swear that we will forget this.
Russell, you swore by all the gods your son would marry my daughter.
Take me for a hostage, but let Rob go. Get up and walk out. Please. Please. Let him go, or I will cut your wife's throat.
I'll find another.
Mother. The Lannisters send their regards.
Well. Everybody died.
whew.
Oh god. What a somber note to end the episode on.
Oh,
That was season 3, episode 9.
there we go.
The
Well,
Reigns of Castamere.
The joy of my all the joy of my night is gone.
You were having a good Sunday until this.
Yeah.
So this, I don't know, just general knowledge of life. This is the Red Wedding, the infamous Red Wedding of Game of Thrones, one of the most famous episodes of the show.
I can see why.
Uh,
Or for worse, I guess.
We'll build up to that ending. So we saw Samwell and Gilly just on the move, basically, but there's not really much to talk about there. They're just heading toward Castle Black. So, but we saw and spent quite a bit of time this episode with Bran, Rickon, Hodor, Osha, Jojen, and Mira. They are now in this little one of these windmills. Meanwhile, Jon, Ygritte, Tormund, and Orell, with the rest of the wildlings, come across an old man and his livestock. And the wildlings are like, yo, we got to take this livestock and kill that old man. But Jon helps the man escape. They hunt him down and trace him to the windmill in which Bran and gang are in. And Hodor is scared of lightning. Lovely, innocent Hodor is scared of lightning. Making noise, but that's how we learn Bran can transfer his consciousness, Warg, into Hodor's body and got him to just like pass out. So he stopped making noise.
That trick would have been useful if they'd made it to the wedding at the end. That could have been very helpful.
Yeah, very helpful. Then we see Jon refusing to kill the old man. Ygritte does it instead. And a whole fight ensues as they realize Jon is not really all about that wildling life. Meanwhile, Bran wargs into Summer and attacks and helps Jon escape. But meanwhile, Jon just like pieces out and leaves Ygritte out to dry.
I guess they broke
No
up.
goodbye, no taking her with him. He just bounces. And by the end of the episode, we hear that Bran is pretty solid on going beyond the wall with Jojen because he believes in all the magical stuff he says. So Osha and Rickon are heading down to be with the Umbers while they go north. So, Tyler, how'd you feel about Bran and Jon's storylines?
It was surprising that there was actually some development with Bran's storyline that I actually like felt interested in for a change, because a lot of their storyline so far hasn't really engaged me all that much. But it seems like we're going to get some interesting developments with that, especially now that we see that like Bran seems to almost like unlock these new abilities that he can do. I imagine they'll probably make him have more fun adventures in the future, I guess, between him, stuff with him and Jojen, and then I guess since they're separated, Rickon, Osha, and all them. So we'll see where they go. I guess they'll have their own other storyline as well. Maybe. Say, you never know. But the stuff with Jon, I mean, Jon's a character I've slowly liked a lot more as the show has progressed, and I like that he's still like sticking to his morals, I guess, and he doesn't want to just kill people to kill people, and even if that kind of costs him his like newfound family with the wildlings and his love. So I don't know where his storyline's going to go. That's going to make for some interesting developments, I feel, later on with Jon and Ygritte and I guess everyone else that survived.
All right, Sean, how did you feel about that story up there?
Yeah, I mean, finally something happened with both of these two plot lines. John's walking around in the snow. They're walking around in the trees. And it's every time you catch up with them that just not a whole lot has happened. And so finally it feels like there's real progress. It's like the next thing with a new shift in the dynamic of those storylines. So that was appreciated.
Well, then we also went over with Daenerys' story this episode, and she sent in Grey Worm, Dario Naharis, and Jorah Mormont to infiltrate and take the city of Yunkai. We also see throughout, particularly there at that ending, Daenerys and Dario seem to be kind of making eyes at each other a little bit right now, much to Jorah's dissatisfaction.
Yeah, I'd say.
But against all odds, her three great warriors take down the city. They take down those slaves and have overrun Yunkai, and they bring back that flag showing that the city is now hers. So, Sean, how'd you feel about Daenerys' storyline?
I felt like they saved all the action in this season for this episode, and so it's just kind of nice to like, like new guys introduced. They're like, let's sack the city, and instead of having 3 episodes of conversations about that, and then it happened, it was just the next episode. It's like we introduced this new guy, he joins the team, and then they go and sneak in, kill a bunch of guys, come back covered in blood, and he's got a little painting for it. So also, just like Daenerys for a season, there was just wandering around in the desert, and there just wasn't, you weren't getting that traction. And then this season, especially the last like 4 or 5 episodes, each episode you feel like the next big step. And this is just one more of them of like, okay, like she's actually gaining momentum, and you feel that. Where with a lot of these plot lines, people walking in the woods, people walking in the snow, and there's no forward momentum on a lot of stuff. Whereas with Daenerys, it seems like we just keep each episode, something big's going to happen.
All right, Tyler, how'd you feel about Daenerys this episode?
Yeah, I kind of feel about the same way with Sean when it comes to the dynamic, when it comes to the progression in Daenerys' storyline. There was a period of time where it was, I guess, logging behind, comparing to other storylines. And I mean, it's just interesting seeing her evolution so far in these first 3 seasons. Like, she's definitely much more confident. She has a giant army to the point where she has all of these people she could just send to fight her battles for her. I figured they were going to win anyway. That was one of my predictions, that they were going to take over the town anyway. But poor Jorah, I guess, because Jorah obviously really likes Daenerys, and Daenerys doesn't seem to reciprocate those feelings. And this Dario guy seems to have just walked into the whole situation, and immediately they're kind of an item, it seems, or at least on the cusp of being an item.
Then we spent some time with Arya and the Hound pre that finale. They're just kind of going along. They run across this old man who They
Poor
steal
guy.
from, then take turns trying to intimidate and threaten one another. Before the Hound does get her where he wanted to get her, which is the wedding, the Walder Frey alliance with Robb Stark that they had put together in hopes to get the Frey army in order to take Casterly Rock after Robb Stark beheaded Lord Karstark earlier in the season and lost the entire Karstark army. Now, here they are, trying to make amends, and it seems like Walder Frey's nasty old man mind is just like, well, I would have done it too for somebody who looked like Talisa. But we then get to the wedding itself. It's all going along nicely until the song, The Rains of Castamere, begins to play, and Talisa is stabbed violently in her pregnant stomach, and Robb is shot, Catelyn is shot. They go out and kill Greywind, who has been put into a pin, all of which Arya is starting to see go down. At that point, the Hound knocks her out so that she doesn't do something stupid and get herself killed. And we go back inside. Robb and Catelyn aren't quite dead, but Catelyn tries to use his wife as leverage. I don't know what part of Walder Frey's personality thought he would have cared at all about one of his wives dying. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But I guess when you're desperate, you're just grabbing whatever you can. And then Roose Bolton unveils his treason and the fact that he has betrayed Robb Stark and says the Lannisters send their regards, puts the final blow in. Catelyn kills the wife and pretty much gives up on life. Just stands there waiting to die, and she is killed. So, Sean, how'd you feel about that whole Red Wedding?
So I pieced it together pretty much as soon as you invited me that was going to be the Red Wedding episode. I knew enough Red Wedding. I was like, I bet that's when this is going to happen. So kind of knew that's what we were building towards, but I had no idea what the context was. And then all throughout this season, everybody's getting married this season. So it's like, oh, it's going to be this one. And then, so they're going to take the castle. And then somehow because of that, the Lannisters are going to show up at this wedding. And we're playing all this stuff out of what it could be. And then whenever someone says, oh, Frey's just the worst guy. And then he agrees to have this other marriage. I was like, oh, wait, they're going to show up on, oh, I think I know where this is. This is not going to be good. And so then watching the whole episode with that sense of like doom in your gut as if you're building towards it, just waiting, when is this thing going to go down? And it gets gross. So unfortunately, the thing that's frustrating though, I probably would have pieced together that Robb was not long for Westeros. Someone in my comments section said,
always,
of course, always classy. Goes, I said like, Robb, really like the character. He's actually a noble guy. Someone says, yeah, he lives happily ever after. It's like, yeah, thanks, dude. I know you're being sarcastic, so pretty sure I know this is going to end bad. And he goes, yeah, just wait until the Red Wedding happens. I was like, all right, dude.
There you go.
Like,
always YouTube comments, man.
I'm like, dude,
always.
like you're spoiling what happens. Oh, I thought you knew. I was like, no, but obviously you knew I didn't know. Like, what? Come on, man.
That's the internet.
Like at no point in time did he behave like as if he realized, oh yeah, I spoiled the whole deal.
Spoiled a huge episode of the whole show.
Yeah. It's like
no big deal.
A complete turning point of the entire show.
Right. I mean, the whole thing for 3 seasons has been like this battle. His army is winning, and that's over. Like, where's even the show going at this point when it's all been about this war? And the guy, spoiled it. I'm not happy about that, but I kind of knew we were heading into this where this was kind of headed in another sense. So,
how did you feel about the Red Wedding, Tyler?
I was pretty shook about it. I mean, I had heard things about a Red Wedding as well, just, outside knowledge, people talking about it, but I didn't know like the context or what was going to happen in it. And thankfully, since I don't talk about Game of Thrones on my channel, I didn't get it spoiled for me. So I guess that's one minor blessing, if you want to call it that. It's really tragic, as Sean said. I don't really know where the story's going to go since they're dead. The Lannisters send their regards. I'd figured something bad was going to go down when they locked the doors and played that ominous song, and it looked like what's his face was wearing like chainmail. It looked like almost underneath of his. I was like, oh well, he's expecting something to happen at this. It's just tragic to see Robb and Talisa and Catelyn all die in such a way. I mean, it was quite a jarring event. And then just the leverage of Walder Frey's wife. I don't know where you would expect Walder Frey to care. He clearly didn't. And it's just a shame because I really liked Robb Stark a lot. Out of all of the people that died in this, and I guess also the wolf. I mean, the wolf was sad too.
Wolf deaths are always sad.
Just the way they did it too. It's a very violent. Well, violence. I mean, at least they showed that was like off screen ish kind of, because you don't want to show like an actual wolf be murdered on screen. But that was really brutal, and I don't know where the Hound and Arya are going to go, because the whole point of them going there was to give Arya to Catelyn and all them, and now they're dead. So that's also another plot thread up in the air. Like, what are they going to do?
Now looking at the Starks, over half of them are dead. So
Arya's an orphan now.
yeah, for true-born Starks, it's Arya, Sansa, Rickon, and Bran, and then we still have Jon around too as a bastard.
Yeah. I wonder when he's gonna find out the news. He's off on his own adventure, like a far, far away.
We should be worried because it's like going in order of age. All of the older ones are dying, and Jon is the next oldest one. So no, Daemon and Sansa better start worrying. Both in danger where they are currently.
I think almost everyone in this show is in danger. To be honest,
like Sean said, there's not really a safe place to live where you're
That's what
free
I mean.
of danger.
Well, that's like, the whole show's been a huge plot line. It's like, oh, can they get the Stark daughters back to mom, back to Robb, where they'll be safe? That would not have been a safe place to be.
No.
But once again, another plot line of like all these plot lines that's undone now. Like you can't
just ripped up the pages.
You can't send Sansa back to Robb. You can't do that's off the table. So the whole stuff about Jaime being returned, so that it's all gone. So like, okay, I don't know what happens now.
Tear up the pages, burn all your theories of what's going to come next. 'Cause most of them are thrown out the window at this point.
Well, I guess that leads us into our next segment. If you can think of any across all of the storylines, do you have any predictions moving forward, Sean? Where they might close out season 3 at least after ending episode 9 like this?
No. This, you just look at it and you go, okay, every path I was headed down with the main stuff in the main area, we just ran into a big wall. Okay, so Robb's probably not going to take the Lannisters' homeland. That's probably off the table now.
I would say so. That's almost a given. Yeah.
Okay, there we got one good. We agree on one theory. Robb's not going to do that.
Not looking like it's going to happen, at least, barring a sudden shock in the next episode.
Red Woman, where are you again? No.
Yeah.
Maybe you can do something. Actually, Thoros of Mir, he's the one who brings people back to life.
Yeah, even kind of where it's at. If you play at the storylines, I don't know what one more episode, which plot line has one more episode that leads to an obvious closeout of the chapter, because this was the closeout of the chapter. So it's like, okay, that's
for most of them, yeah.
This feels like a season ender right here. Like the plot. I don't know. Like, I really have no idea. It's like looking at the time. I have to wake up at 6 a.m, but better still need to watch one more episode because I have to know where is this headed.
I must know.
Yeah, Tyler, do you have any sense of a prediction?
The only one I can definitively think of that I expect to have some sort of, I guess you could say, a conclusion before the season wraps up is probably Daenerys is going to go and free everybody just because they won. So I figure they're probably going to, be like, "Yay, you freed us all!" So that's about it. I mean, that's like, I guess, if you want to have like a happy moment after all of this dark sadness that we just went through, that's kind of it. I mean, I imagine, like I say in all these predictions, I imagine Theon's going to keep getting tortured. So I imagine that
we'll return to torture again.
I just imagine that's going to be a consistent thing. We left him off. We didn't get. I guess fortunately we didn't get to see what happens next because of what looks to be the predictions of what's going to come next for Theon Greyjoy. Like Sean said, there's we kind of did get to a wall here when it comes to a lot of the storylines because they all involved Rob Stark and his crew and the Lannisters. So looks like the Lannisters are winning. As much as I don't like to say that, it looks like the Lannisters have won because they just killed Rob and
they
his
don't play by
family
rules. None of the other houses kill people at weddings.
Yeah.
That's a Lannister move, I guess. Everybody else has a code of conduct that they throw out the window to win. So
Yeah, well, I mean, just straight up, just like Lannisters send their regards, just straight up letting you know before he gets murdered.
Yeah.
Quite an interesting calling card right there.
Would be though if Daenerys gets a moment, as you said, that would make her like the serotonin to this Stark depression. Because like season 1, she had some sad stuff in episode 10, but then it was like dragons, baby dragons, to lift you up after Ned has been killed. So she's just serotonin after the Starks get murdered.
Yeah, I'm gonna need some type of happiness in general in my life after watching that unfold, the Red Wedding.
Who are your fave and least favorite characters to this point in Game of Thrones, Sean?
That Fry, he's charming. It's just like I see him and it reminds me of myself a little bit.
Oh wow.
Oh, okay.
I've said too much. I mean, I think Daenerys is an obvious one that they've given her a very good arc with her character of going from passive person being told what to do to then taking charge of an army. Like you just kind of get such an arc there. It's kind of an easy one. I like Jon Snow in season 1, but then he's just been wandering around for 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, okay, whatever was cool here, you're making me lose it. Tyrion, obvious, actual likable person that grows, cares about others, and is put in interesting scenarios to where the audience likes him so much more than the people of the world he's in, which is just interesting. And then him and his guard guy, I don't have no clue what his name is.
Bronn.
That guy's a ton of fun. And then Arya is another one that's just, anytime someone is just proactive, even in the midst of the worst, that's likable. Contrast with Sansa, who's just
yeah, she's trying, I guess.
Made very small steps. And there's some coming around on Jaime a little bit. At least this season gave a lot of stuff where you actually like, I want to learn more. I don't just want to see him die. So
that was how I felt for a while too. Like he just needs to die.
Who's on the top of your least fave list, Sean?
Of course, Joffrey, you're supposed to hate him. It's just like
of course, yeah.
The guy that you love to hate because he's written to just be a pure sadist, and he's a child that's the king. He does his part as the worst really well. Cersei's another one that's just like, oh, why can't you do anything to like connect with anyone on a personal level? Like, why do you see everyone with contempt? And so that's frustrating. So I see what happens with that. There's a lot of the worsts on this show.
Yeah, I agree.
Of course, this Fry fellow. I personally probably wouldn't have gone to a party and killed Rob and his pregnant wife. I probably wouldn't have done that. But other than that, I felt like I resonate with that guy a lot.
Talk about somebody who just makes quite the impact. He's literally been in 2 episodes so far. His 2 episodes have set up Rob's entire story arc in such a way. So, yeah, made quite an impact in a small amount of screen time. Tyler, how about you?
As far as faves, some of the ones that are the same as Sean, Daenerys, I thought she's had a great character progression so far through these first 3 seasons. Now that she's like in this position of like power and she's very confident as opposed to where we first saw her in the beginning of the show. John's gotten better. I don't know if I put him in my faves though, but like he's around. He's not in my worst. He's kind of in the gray area of the middle between. Jamie's gotten a lot better as well. I initially didn't like him all that much, and now they've made him a little bit more compelling. I guess it does help that he's been like literally like put through the ringer. Brienne's pretty great. Their interactions, her and Jamie, are pretty entertaining. One of the more entertaining elements. I've always loved Tyrion. I mean, Tyrion just brings so much life and personality to everything. Bronn, Podrick has some fun moments as well. Arya is fantastic.
We all just want to know Podrick's secret.
I just found it. I mean, just in that little interaction, I found him fascinating.
You don't want to pour one out for Rob, an honorable mention and faves for Rob now that he's gone.
Well, that's the thing. I didn't know if you were including living or dead people, but I mean, Rob. I did like Rob a lot, so it's sad to see him go. Right. Catelyn was here or there.
Yeah. What was nice about Rob is that he's written to be so competent, and he's young, and so it's really easy to root for him. But they gave him just enough character flaws that it led to his undoing. Choices, you could see the exact choices that were he could have made the choice that wouldn't have led to this outcome, but he kept making choices that led to this outcome.
It was tough because even when like he first chose Talisa, just chose to ignore go back on his word to Walder Frey about marrying one of his daughters. I knew that was probably going to be bad down the road, whether it be this season or seasons down the road. And of course, it ended up being part of his downfall because Walder Frey didn't like that very much, and now he's dead, and his wife that he chose instead is dead, and his mom is dead, and a lot of other people in that room are dead, and his direwolf is dead. So a lot of consequences came out of that in retrospect. Yeah, Walder Frey, not a big fan of him. Joffrey, Cersei, of course. I forgot to mention that I love Olenna Tyrell in the people, my faves, because she had some really interesting, fun, entertaining conversations with people. And Littlefinger, I don't like Littlefinger that much.
As I say, series-wide, Littlefinger's worked his way out of your bottom.
Peter Baelish will never leave, probably.
Ever since you saw him hold that knife to Ned's throat, he will never leave the worst.
Well, yeah, because it's like he did say not to trust him, so. but it's the fact he still did. The fact he still went through it, I guess, through with it, still makes me upset to this day because I liked Ned. Oh, it seems like every Stark I like, they end up being murdered in some vicious form.
So maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you should keep Jon in the gray area.
Well, yeah, Jon's off on his own mission away from all of this drama with the Lannisters and all that. So maybe he should just stay out of it.
Perfect. So that was our reaction and discussion for season 3, episode 9, The Reigns of Castamere. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click that like button down below and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on my latest videos, including each and every one of our Game of Thrones reaction videos. Also, make sure that you subscribe and follow Tyler. Tyler, do you want to let them know where to find you?
Yeah, sure. You just search up my name on youtube.com and you'll find my channel where I do reviews, reactions, all that jazz, and Twitter and Instagram at It's Tyler Calvert.
And if you're not already, make sure that you subscribe to and follow our special guest, Sean. Sean, do you want to let them know where to find you?
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube. Just look up Sean Chandler. You'll either find an NFL player or a guy that looks like me and talks about movies. It's the guy that looks like me and talks about movies. Or on the Twitter at Kirk Never Died, because I didn't do that smart thing where I used my own name.
Oh, there you go. And also, if you're looking to hear more of Sean's commentary and thoughts on Game of Thrones, his season 3 review will be up before this reaction, so you can go hear his thoughts on season 3, as well as all of the other seasons on the Sean Chandler Plus channel. Yes?
Correct.
Perfect. So
correct. We'll find out. I want to put one on the main channel as promotion for the other one, but I don't know when that'll happen. So
perfect. So just make sure, look up Sean
somewhere.
Look up Sean Chandler Game of Thrones, and
it'll be
you will find
somewhere
his thoughts on all of the seasons. I love you all so much for your continued support. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.